Alright, real talk. Star Wars games are at a weird crossroads right now. One side you've got Jedi 3, the big blockbuster sequel everyone expects to slap. The safe bet. That, yeah, obviously I'm buying that game. On the other side, you've got Star Wars Zero Company, a turn-based tactics game set in the Clone Wars where you're running a squad of weirdos on missions. That's not safe. That's Star Wars trying something that could either hit hard or get ignored by half the internet because it doesn't have a lightsaber parry system. So the question is, which one matters more for the future of Star Wars games? If you're new here, I'm Stratix. I cover gaming news, industry stuff, and I say the quiet part out loud when publishers start acting like we're all stupid. And today we're doing a straight up comparison, Zero Company versus Jedi 3. Not which one is better, but which one matters more in the bigger picture. Let's start with Zero Company, because this one is easy to misunderstand. Officially, Star Wars Zero Company is a single-player turn-based tactics game where you recruit a squad and command them on missions during the Clone Wars. It's coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S, and the official messaging points to 2026. That's already a big deal because Star Wars has been living in two lanes for a while: action-adventure story games, or big multiplayer stuff that gets controversial immediately. A proper single-player tactics game in Star Wars isn't some random side dish. If it lands, it opens a whole new lane for the brand. And the Clone Wars setting is smart too. That era is built for squad missions, Jedi, clones, droids, shady operators, politics, espionage. It's basically begging for tactical gameplay. Now, Jedi 3. This one's the heavyweight. EA has already said Respawn is working on the final chapter of the Star Wars Jedi story. And that matters because the Jedi games become the proof that Star Wars single player can still print money and win people back. They're mainstream, cinematic, and they pull in huge numbers compared to niche genres. Also worth remembering, the director of the first two Jedi games, Stig Asmussen, left Respawn, so Jedi 3 may have a slightly different creative fingerprint. So Jedi 3 has the biggest spotlight, but also the biggest expectations. Here's how I see it. Jedi 3 matters more to the public. Zero Company might matter more to the future. And yeah, I'm going to explain that before you light me up. Why Jedi 3 might matter more? Jedi 3, brand confidence and momentum. Jedi 3 is the continuation of the most successful modern Star Wars game series. EA has even talked publicly about the size of that audience, and that's why they're closing it out properly as a final chapter. If Jedi 3 drops and it's great, Star Wars games get a massive credibility boost, EA gets another big win, it keeps the premium single-player Star Wars lane alive. If Jedi 3 drops and it's messy, people start doing that thing where they pretend they never liked the series, the internet becomes a crime scene for 6 months, and the suits get nervous about funding big Star Wars single-player projects. So yeah, Jedi 3 is the keep the lights on game. It's also the last chance to stick the landing. Because it's a final, it's not just another sequel, it's the payoff. That's why it matters. Nobody remembers the middle of a trilogy the same way they remember the ending. If the ending is weak, it stains the whole run. Now, why Zero Company might matter more long term: Zero Company, genre expansion, and Star Wars needs it. Zero Company being turn-based tactics is the whole point. Officially, that's what it is. Single-player tactics, squad recruitment, Clone Wars command. If this game hits, it tells every publisher and Lucasfilm Games, hey, Star Wars doesn't only work as action-adventure or live service. And that's huge because it means we could get more strategy games, more RPG-shaped Star Wars projects, smaller budgets for high-quality experiences that don't need to sell 10 million copies to justify existing. This is how a brand becomes healthy again. Variety. A real lineup. Not just one type of game wearing different outfits. Also, Clone Wars is the perfect era for tactics because squad makes sense, missions make sense, casualties make sense, morally great choices make sense. And a squad tactics game can do something action games often don't. Make you care about your team like they're real characters, not just NPCs who shout, "Cover me!" So which one matters more? The answer depends on what matters means. If you mean which game will get the bigger reaction, it's Jedi 3. That game will dominate headlines the second it shows up again. If you mean which game could change the direction of Star Wars games, it's Zero Company, because it's the one taking the biggest swing in terms of genre and structure. And honestly, Star Wars needs both. Jedi 3 is the blockbuster that proves the franchise can still deliver at the top level. Zero Company is the test that proves Star Wars can thrive outside that one lane. What each game needs to do to win people over. Jedi 3 needs a clean launch, a strong ending that feels earned, and tighter pacing. Zero Company needs a hook that even non-tactics players understand fast. A squad system that makes you attached to your crew. Missions that feel like Star Wars, not a generic tactics game with a Star Wars skin. So, I'm throwing it to you. If you could only get one, Jedi 3 or Zero Company, and don't give me the boring answer like both. Pick one, let me know why. I want to see some chaos. If you want, I can also do a follow-up video where we build the perfect Zero Company formula. Classes, squad roles, mission types, and what it could steal from the best tactics games without feeling like a copy. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.